Hey there. Let us talk about something that I have seen again and again in software and game dev teams, and that is everybody being frantically busy, but things still being behind. Projects behind, work running late. People aren't failing because they aren't working hard. That's obvious. In fact, they're often running flat out. The problem, very frequently, is that they're working on too many things at one time. And with that in mind, let's zoom in on today's risk that we'll talk about working on too many things at once. And I'll just expand this so we can walk through the problem together. It's not unusual to see 10 or 15 or 20 initiatives in play across a mid-sized org. In fact, I worked with an org where there were 57 initiatives in play at one time, and things were moving along at a snail's pace. Not surprising. We're fragmenting people way, way, way too thin on far too many things. And what really happens then is that you have constant context switching, scattered focus, deadlines are missed, no matter how hard everybody's pushing. And you know the old saying, if everything is a priority, nothing is. If your roadmap looks more like a buffet table with everything piled on, it's time for a good hard look at your priorities. And what's usually missing is a ruthlessly clear list of just like 3 to 5 time-bound, outcome-driven priorities that guide all of the work that gets done and what gets deferred. And I'm not talking about vague themes or buzzwords. I mean real commitments with names and timeframes and owners. Because when you don't define these, here's what happens. Workloads explode, teams burn out, progress slows down, morale takes a hit. But when you do define them and map your current work against them, something much more powerful happens. The noise quiets down, and the real work starts to move forward, and your teams start winning again. And that's really what this is all about. So we're going to dive into the playbook here, but first let me just expand these points here so that we can dig in. I just want to make sure I've covered these. When the problem in summary is that teams are spread thin across a huge number of initiatives without clarity on which ones truly matter. Execution tends to slow down, quality drops, team morale deteriorates, deadlines slip, leadership loses visibility and control. If that sounds familiar, it should. It happens all the time. The symptoms. Team members are juggling multiple projects and constantly context switching. Key deliverables are delayed or half finished. There's no clear understanding of what success looks like for this quarter, for the near term, and there's frequent firefighting and shifting priorities. Those are all symptoms of the problem that we're trying to address here. So what do we do about it? Here's the playbook. 5 steps. The first one is to scan your environment. Before setting any priorities, get a clear view of what's really going on. Ask the following questions. What actually matters in the next 6 to 18 months? Where's the biggest risk? Market shifts, tech debt, major release window. What is it that is the biggest risk right now? And then where is the opportunity? Perhaps it's a new platform. Maybe it's a new feature set. Maybe it's a market you're trying to grow and expand into. Let's look at some examples. If your company's survival depends on a successful console port this fiscal year, well, that is a priority, obviously. If your PC game has major stability issues that are impacting reviews and subsequent sales, fixing that is clearly a priority. This all really comes down to separating the noise from the signal, so you're not treating every idea like it's equally important. Okay, so that's step 1. Step 2. Step 2 is to draft 5 to 7 candidate priorities. Write them down, make them clear, and make sure they're not just abstractions or buzzwords. Use a structure like, we will achieve X by doing Y by time Z. Let's look at some examples here. We will reduce crash rates by 50% by overhauling our error logging system by Q4. That's a good, clear, specific priority. We will launch on Nintendo Switch by optimizing performance and cert requirements by November. Again, it's clear. We will improve onboarding conversion by 20% by redesigning the first-time user flow by the end of the summer. Again, clear and specific. These are not vague goals like improve performance or grow revenue. These are outcome-driven, time-bound, and specific. Okay, so that's step 2. Step 3. Step 3 is where you put each draft priority through a 5-part test. You're going to ask the 5 very important questions. Is it impactful? Will this move the needle in a real way? Is it strategic? Does it support our larger direction? Is it focused? Or is it trying to do too many things at one time? Is it time-bound? Can we achieve it in the next 6 to 12 months? And is it actionable? Do we know how to get started on it? Let's look at some examples. If one of your draft priorities is improve company culture, well, that might be important, but it fails this test. It's vague, it's not time-bound, and it's not immediately actionable. A better version might be, we will implement quarterly team health surveys and 3 high-impact retention programs by year end. Now that's something the teams can actually do. So that is step 3. Now let's look at step 4. This is where you're going to finalize your top 3 to 5 priorities. Now you want to cut and be ruthless about it because you only get 3 to 5. That's the point. Focus means trade-offs. So you want to pick ones that are most urgent or foundational, have strong alignment with strategy, and can be clearly owned and driven. And then you want to assign an executive sponsor to each one, someone who is accountable, and then communicate them widely across every team and every project. Let's look at some examples. If your team knows these 3 things are our company's strategic priorities this quarter and everything else is secondary, then suddenly people can make smarter decisions. They can say no to distractions without some sense of guilt about turning things away. So that's super valuable, and that is step 4. Step 5 is to map current initiatives to these priorities. So this is where it actually gets real. Now you need to go and take every active initiative. Maybe there's, like I said earlier, 10 or 15 or 20, or in the case of the company I work with, 57. Maybe there's a ton of these initiatives in flight, on the roadmap, in the backlog, and you want to take every single one and map it to one of those top 3 to 5 priorities. If it doesn't fit, deprioritize it, defer it. Okay, let's actually put it to one side and not distract people with it. Now, we'll look at some examples. Let us say that your company is trying to optimize first week retention, but half your team is still polishing late game content or a feature that won't release until next year. That might be good work to do eventually, but it's not the right work for right now. And that is the hard part. It requires saying not right now to things that you care about. But this is how focus actually works in practice. That is the key here. So these 5 steps, if you apply these 5 steps, scan your strategic environment, draft 5 to 7 potentials, apply the 5-filter test, narrow it down to 3 to 5 legitimate priorities, and then map all the work to them. When you do that, that is how you actually focus your team and you accelerate their productivity, their progress through all of these deliverables. It doesn't mean that net you get less done. It means you get more important work done sooner, and then you can move on to the next set of work. This isn't just leadership best practice. It is a survival skill, particularly in tight economies. If your org is slammed, stressed, and slipping deadlines, don't just push harder. Get focused and get aligned, and then get ruthless about what matters the most. Now, if this is something that you've been wrestling with, if your team is busy all the time but still falling behind, don't just try to push harder. Step back. Get ruthless about what really matters. And if you want help with that, I've put together a free guide called Survive and Thrive. You'll find the link right in the video description. Not only does it go deeper on what we just talked about, it also walks you through the 7 things that you can do to guarantee on-time delivery without burning out your team. It is packed with practical tools and real-world strategies that I've used inside fast-moving software and game dev studios. So if you're in the thick of it, grab that guide and give it a read. If you want to talk through how to apply it in your org, I'm always happy to jump on a quick call. It's completely free, just happy to engage. Head over to the description and we'll take it from there. Thanks for watching.